Painting should be fun. In this day and age of digital revolution and artificial intelligence, if you are picking up a brush to paint on an actual canvas, you should be enjoying it beyond doubt. But from whatever history I have read, the one thing I know for sure is that unlike you and me, the old masters were too damn serious about their portrait painting, to a point that they regularly conducted dissection on cadavers for the purpose of learning the anatomy and intricacies of facial expression. So, how many of you have done any dissection for the purpose of painting?
Our hearts beat to the city streets. We began to feel the fire.
Hello guys, welcome back. Thanks for joining me today. This video actually is a continuation of my previous video on the basics of realistic portrait painting. I am dealing with some much more advanced concepts here, so for those who are new here, I will give a quick recap of whatever I have covered in my basics video. As we all know, the most difficult step in portrait painting is to actually start it. Once you start it, the primary step is to color block the area, which in my opinion is a misnomer, and the area more appropriately should be value blocked. Either one should resort to an underpainting or the color blocking should be accurate in terms of values used. The science behind this has roots in the evolution of vision and mankind. The second practical tip was understanding the curves and edges. As we all know, the eyelid has sharp edges, while the side of face is a curve and not an edge, and should be treated as such to attain realism. As an evolutionary adaptation, our brain needs our eyes to focus on details. Focusing makes the peripheral vision blurred. Realism should simulate this to make the illusion of reality. The fourth practical tip was regarding the background, which should be realistic in terms of color, design, and values, and should be out of focus by default. Of the 4 points discussed, 2 of them had its basis on human evolution. I know what you guys are thinking, and no, you don't need to learn the entire evolution to study realism. If the above mentioned points were too much for you, please check out my previous video where I deal with each of these tips separately. I will give the link in the description below. With that being said, let us come to the advanced tips for today. Have you ever wondered why some of the portraits by the old masters in classical era are much more realistic than modern day portrait paintings where you have photo and video references and digital and artificial intelligence technologies for backup? If yes, then you are on the same page with me. Their paintings satisfied one or many of the above mentioned basic realism points with individual differences. Mona Lisa satisfied all the above mentioned points and many more, which shows that even before Charles Darwin discovered the evolution of species, artists had a very good practical knowledge about the effects of evolution in human vision and perception. It also shows their close acquaintance with human physiology. So without a doubt, you can say that classical artists were much more close to science than modern day artists. There was another science discipline which was vigorously studied by artists during classical era, and it was human anatomy. Many classical artists conducted autopsies and dissection on cadavers for the sole purpose of painting and sculpting. I don't think anybody would do that now, and we are lucky that we don't actually need that now. There is more than enough study material available in the internet for the artist to study anatomy. See how close art is to science, and the world is so deluded and misinformed that the word art is sometimes used antonymous to science. This advanced feature is related more to color than the values and depends on the light illuminating the face. In a face getting illuminated by white light, the flesh tones, if captured perfectly, are having an additive effect on realism. As you can see here in this painting, the face is lit by white light, and I am resorting to a more realistic flesh tone for him with a little bit of blush in the nose and cheek area, as the subject is a white-skinned person. Capturing the skin texture and folds is another advanced feature which should be done judiciously. Here also, the texture in the focal point areas like the eyes, nose and lips should be given details, and those in the peripheries and skin folds in the neck should be left out of focus or undetailed. But as I said earlier, all these without nailing the values and anatomy are useless. In addition to skin, another key element of realistic portrait painting is mastering the intricacies of hair, which is a skill to develop by practice. Artists should be practicing relentlessly the different types of hair, short, long, straight, curly, etc., in different scenarios like in shadow and illuminated areas. As you can see, I painted a curly kind of out of focus hair for my previous portrait, while in this portrait I painted long and short hair in both shadow and lighted areas. Realistic portrait needs realistic hair, period. Before coming to the final tip for the day, if you have reached up to this watching the video and think this is something useful for the art community, please consider giving this video an upvote so that it gets propagated more. Thank you. Nailing the expression and conveying emotions is the final step for the day. Expressions convey emotions. Emotions tell a story, and the story hooks the viewer. Sometimes expressionless portraits also convey emotions and tell stories. It's hard to explain, but if you followed everything from the beginning, right from selecting the appropriate reference till the end, then this final step comes naturally as a payoff. And one final tip about smiling: avoid a photographic smile at all costs. Go with a no smile approach or a candid smile in absolutely indicated cases. Let's just sign this painting and have a look at the finished piece. Hope you all learned something useful. If you wish to buy any of my paintings or prints, please visit jinjuart.com. And if you enjoyed watching this, here is a video that I think you should watch next. That's all from the video, guys. See you all in the next. Till then, take care and bye bye.